welcome. It's another beautiful week here on the ProView Sports Report. Aaron Rivera, again with Steve Davis, president of ProView Networks. And Steve, district season rolls on in basketball. I mean, we're about at the halfway point for most districts at this point. Lots of great games being played. We've got a couple of games that are non-district in there, too. It's been a great season so far.
No, it's been a great season. A lot of upsets, a lot of close games, a lot of overtimes and everything. And just get out and support and go enjoy these student athletes and enjoy the metro area. I mean, and for the other people watching across the state, I mean, we got great games across the state too.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of them. So we're going to go ahead and just roll right into the highlights now. Let's take a look first. Saturday game that we had, that you and I had, Albuquerque Academy taking on the West Mesa Mustangs in that one. As the West Mesa Mustangs, Albuquerque Academy, non-district game. It's a 4A and a 5A school matching up, but two that are looking to make runs in the state tournament. Obviously, West Mesa, they've got a difficult district there with some good teams in it. Albuquerque Academy right now, though, are absolutely at the top of their game. As we start this one off, you take a look, Dalen Holt, one of those young guys on that West Mesa side that were really impressive throughout.
Well, they had a quick start and the size. Look at this.
Yeah, Hunter Amy was just too much of a problem. They kept going underneath to him. Here's Ben Morgan hitting the three, and it was back and forth early on there, Steve. West Mesa started off good.
Here's Espinoza. I mean, he can leap, can he?
Yeah, and they made a couple of those inbound plays. Here's a nice setup again to Dalen Holt, just a freshman, and he was putting in some clutch shots, big moments for them. Here's Esteban Espinoza again.
Yeah, back and forth in this first half.
And this is the first we're introducing Eli Dominguez. A couple of baskets back and forth. He had an 18-point second quarter for the Albuquerque Academy Chargers. Really kept him in it. As you see here, West Mesa putting in the basket to tie it up. There's the steal transition basket, and they're going to go to Aiden Vega. That was the last score of that half. Academy ended up coming on top, but then even as we start the quarter, West Mesa, they want to take it right back, put it back tied. But you're going to see a lot of these transition baskets for West Mesa before Academy started to really just take control of this game. And it was this man right there, Eli Dominguez. We talked about him.
I was just looking at it. It was like this next 3 minutes or 4 minutes, it's all Academy. And it's one of the reasons is him. He just takes over the game.
Yeah, and he had, as we see again, Dalen Holt, that West Mesa side, some really good young pieces, a couple of great seniors as well, but Hunter Amy as well getting more involved as the fourth quarter went on. But Dominguez, a career 38-point game. Let's hear from him now.
Our Madrona Struck Law player of the game, it's Eli Dominguez. So 38 points in that game. Just talk about what you were seeing in there and how you felt.
I mean, I was just taking what we had. They gave me a lot of offensive boards, a lot of layups, and I guess that just added up like a lot.
So you've been kind of a big spark plug to this team. Every time you get in there, either you're scoring, you're getting something set up there for Amy. What was the plan of attack today against West Mesa?
I mean, we knew that they didn't rebound very well, so I was just trying to attack the boards and trying to get it into Hunter because he gets easy layups.
And then you got 4 more games left in the season. You guys went undefeated in the district. How's your plan going into the last part of the season?
I mean, it's not over. We still got to go out and win 4 more games, and it's not over until it's over.
So, hey.
And so, yeah, you saw him there. And, Steve, one of my favorite parts, I don't know if you saw it as we were getting set for that interview, but as I walked up and told him how many points they had, him and Coach Broussard were through the moon. I mean, especially Coach Broussard was so happy for Eli to have had that big of a game.
Well, you remember during that game I made a comment that it's a quiet 38, and if the coaches and the player didn't know it, it was a quiet 38, okay?
Yeah,
right. You made that comment, looked at me, I can still look at your expression. Well, what do you mean? He got 38 points, it can't be quiet. And I guess the reason I said it was quiet was because he was so efficient. And it wasn't like, he didn't force the ball. I mean, he took the shots when they came, and he got the rebound and put them back in. I mean, he just was so efficient for the game, and you could have told me when you started telling me we were adding them up, what they were. I was like, man, I just sit here and watched it, and I had no idea until you started saying it. Where now he's at 30, he's at 32 and 34, 36, 38. But
Yeah,
it's a little short of 40. I mean, he had a bad night. So.
Well, and it was funny, too, because they joked about Coach told him to pull the ball out instead of taking a shot that would have put him over the 40 spot. So, but, great game for them. And Albuquerque Academy, well poised to take that district, and it's a crucial district there in 4A. Let's move on now. Speaking of 4A, we've got a game between the St. Pius Sartans and the Highland Hornets. Highland, a team that's been a little bit banged up here. They're trying to get going as we get to the later part of the season. Of course, Coach Woody, very seasoned coach. He knows exactly how to get the boys ready and knows that this is the time of year you've got to be the best. Taking on a team in St. Pius that's been consistently in the top 5 of the polls. I believe St. Pius moved up to 2nd. And you see here for the Highland Hornets, Juan Lemus. They've got to get guys, obviously Lincoln's back, but you want to see guys like Lemus coming in and having quick starts like he does here.
Well, I tell you, this is, Highland, this is a big rivalry game. It's becoming that district. I mean, these teams, both well coached, and Woody over on the sidelines, best dressed too. He got a little plaid on the side.
Yeah, great sport coat. I'd have to ask him where he got that one. Here's William Hood as we're going to see that nice bounce pass underneath. But this is, again, for Highland, they're trying to get into shape for it. But St. Pius, they've been strong all the way through. It's been guys like Mason Montoya, Carson McConnell. St. Pius in that 4A side, we've talked about Artesia a lot, but that St. Pius squad, they know how to put up points. You see this one's nice and tight as we move on into the second. Here's Carson McConnell, feeds it out to Lockhart for the buzzer-beating 3. Huge play for that Highland St. Pius ending of the second half. But St. Pius would really start to step on the gas a little bit as it went along. Here's Josh Darling, somebody that we hadn't mentioned before, but you love Josh Darling, how he plays.
Well, I think Pius has a greater chance if he gets in the scoring column and takes for shots, and then, of course, we always expect him to.
Yeah, Kenneth Zamora, he's been good for a few years. But Lemus, basically took over this game for Highland. And, again, they need him to be a big part of it. They need guys who can get in there and score on top of Lincoln. And nice cut out inside. Selfless play there as you can see we're here into the fourth quarter. Highland kept it interesting. Lemus right there cutting that one into a one-basket lead. But the St. Pius Sartans just would not be denied throughout this. Carson McConnell, and you mentioned this is a big rivalry, across sports, whether it's soccer, whether it's basketball. These two schools are getting better and better in every sport here. This one to make it nice and tight once again.
Tell you what, Lemus is hitting some big-time shots right now.
I know. And this was Highland's last chance. Unfortunately for them, it was not quite enough, so the St. Pius Sartans would end up walking out of this one with a 53-47 win. Huge in that district. Of course, district standings are going to be some of the most important part when we get to the end of the season. The most important thing is to win your in-season district. The district tournament can also punch you a perfect chance or a automatic bye into the tournament, but winning that regular season district is so crucial.
No, really it is, and the thing about Pius is they may be one of the toughest teams. He's done a great job with them, and they just they know what to do, and when he called, you can watch the kids in the huddles and everything. Same with Woody too, but I'm just saying Pius is going to be right there.
They will be. Well, we're going to be right back. We're going to take a short break right now. We got another game to get to, plus some scores from around the state. Stick around here on the ProView Sports Report.
We would like to thank the following sponsors for making this broadcast possible. For over 20 years, Evergard Roofing and Solar has been committed to customer service. Locally owned and operated, Evergard offers both commercial and residential roofing and solar services. For more info, please call 505-821-9543. Evergard Roofing and Solar are proud supporters of ProView Sports Network and New Mexico Youth Athletics.
I'm David C. Chavis, personal injury attorney. Our law firm was founded by my father, Thibaut J. Chavez, with one goal, to get New Mexicans the help they need. That's why we built a different kind of law firm. We focus on family values, dedicated service, and we make a real contribution by giving back to our communities. We can't change what happened to you or your loved ones, but we can help you get back on the road to recovery. We're by your side, and we're still as local as red and green.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Networks.
So some great action there in the 4A that we got to see, but Steve, it just wouldn't be wouldn't be appropriate to talk about Metro area without a little 5A basketball. As District 1, I mean, the Volcano Vista Hawks have been dominant in the state. Teams in that district trying to find a way to beat Volcano Vista. Whether it's possible or not, I don't know. Let's take a look. The Cibola Cougars, who are resurgent this season. We've talked about them a lot, of course, because I'm a Cougar and so is our director, Alden Iowani. But the Cibola Cougars in the Metro tournament
We
had
can't be
Volcano
biased
tied.
on the show, guys.
No, we're not. But we've talked about them a lot, how they have been resurgent this season. They got Volcano tight in the Metro tournament. As you see them come out here quickly, Weinrich with a big dunk. But it's only so long before you're going to open up the cage of the Volcano Vista Hawks, a team that, I mean, everybody knows what you're going to get with Volcano Vista. Cibola playing them tight for the first quarter. Weinrich with another big dunk. He's been fantastic for them. But
he's getting his confidence right now, but watch out for soon.
yeah, and if you like to see Evan Asilian dunk, then I've got great news for you, because we're going to see a lot of dunks coming up in this one. David Lund, finally the can opens up for the Volcano Vista Hawks, able to get some perimeter play here from Ryan Gonzalez, and this is what, when Volcano is able to attack you underneath, it opens up guys like Gonzalez, it opens up guys like Brown on the edge, that they're going to be able to get those points. And here's a big slap back block. Boom! Denied after letting Weinrich get a couple. And then David Lund able to take it coast to coast right through. And this is where, you know, we've talked about it week after week after week. But Volcano Vista, I mean, how do you stop them? Look at this heads-up play. And Evan Asilian, of course, is going to cap it off with the dunk.
Well, you know, it all starts with their defense. And you made a point. Here's how dominating the Volcano is. There's Martinez with a nice shot. But here's how, and I don't know, when we've talked about this, and before this, I don't know what the end of the score was, but before this game started, they've beat every one of their district opponents by 40 points. 40.8 for exact. James Jones ran an article about it. So.
Yeah, and you see Elijah Martinez, he's been a big part of this turnaround. How about this feed underneath from Aguino out to Evan Asilian? I mean, they had dunks galore.
That's 3 dunks for him right now. So this is a dunk fest show.
Keep that counter rolling, Steve, because Evan Asilian
I don't know if I can go past
leaves.
3. I came from Clovis. I'm not from Cibola. I didn't graduate from Cibola.
Here's Elijah Martinez with a good drive underneath there as we get into the fourth. Like I said, get that counter ready here. How about the old alley-oop play?
But guess who gave it to him?
Kenyon Aguino, yeah. He's, I mean, basically a point guard at this point, right?
Yeah, 64-35. So that is basically almost 29 points.
29 points there. I mean, a good showing for the Cougars, a team that's looking to get back into the state tournament for the first time in a few years. You know, very resurgent, but that Volcano Vista side, I mean, is there just any way to beat them? We've seen Sandia play against them. We've seen Hobbs play against them. Cibola, Rio Rancho, other teams that have been really good this season. It's almost impossible to break through that team.
Well, like I said, and I think everybody agrees with me on this, is Volcano's going to have a very poor night, okay? And we've seen them have poor nights, and they still come up and win by 8 or 9 points, okay? But foul trouble, that's the only way that I think. I don't know that their bench is as deep as Coach Brown would like it to be, all right? One of their players got hurt, and that really their freshman, sophomore player got hurt, and if they can get them in foul trouble, that's the only weakness I see them.
Well, so next up, we are going to take a look at some scores from around the state because, not just in the Albuquerque area. The basketball is going on all over New Mexico, and there were some crucial games here in this last week as starting off on Thursday on the boys' side, a big one that you saw was that Santa Fe versus La Cueva boys game. Santa Fe winning that one set them up, but let's look at the girls' side over there as Elida beat Des Moines, so that one's going to have big effect in number one because Elida was an unranked team coming into that game. Beating Des Moines by 9 points there, that's going to help kind of shoot Elida potentially up into the rankings, and if Elida can use that to win their district, we might be seeing the Tigers back in the state championship. Albuquerque High School and West Mesa matching up there in what could have been a battle for that district. Albuquerque High coming out on top. And, you'll see it in the top 10 later today. Big game from Pavia. She hit a half-court shot. Santa Fe Indian and Robertson, Steve. Robertson was at the top of that district. Santa Fe Indian on the road beating the Robertson Cardinals. Saw also Thoreau beating Newcomb, who was a favorite there in that district. Thoreau beating them by just a small 4. And then this Wednesday slot, right here, you see that's 2 District 1 teams. So Volcano Vista played Cibola, won that game handily. But Cleveland and Farmington were tied with Volcano Vista at the top of District 1. Rio Rancho at home beats Cleveland 44-72.
I missed that score. What a big win for Wally. He's been.
No, that's the girls' side.
Girls' side. Excuse me.
Which again.
Well, that's yes.
That's also big because Rio Rancho. It seemed like they kind of fell off a little bit, but they're surging right now in that district, and there's a huge tie. We'll see the district standings in a moment. There's a huge tie for second now since Rio Rancho beats Cleveland. That brings them up to 3-2. Farmington loses to Piedra Vista 52-50, and that's another surprise score because the Farmington girls have been pretty dominant, and it was looking like they could potentially win that district. And then the last one, the El Dorado Eagles beating the Capital Jaguars 63-56. Capital fought them all the way through, but El Dorado's getting a little bit better as we go on for the girls' side.
Well, I'll tell you what, interesting, it's that time of year, and like I said, that Farmington Piedra Vista scores, that's a big win for Piedra Vista.
Those two District 1s really put a ripple in. We've got a couple minutes to talk about Santa Fe beating La Cueva. They gave themselves a chance to win that to go in front in that district. It put them tied with Sandia, but as you look down towards the bottom there, Sandia handled Santa Fe pretty easily there to keep a hold of district.
Well, it was a close game in the first half, and then it just seemed Sandia, they started playing what they do, and they were just too much firepower for Santa Fe at the end.
All right. Well, we're going to come back and take a look at these, but it's time for us to take a quick break here. See some of the sponsors that make all of this possible here on ProView Sports. You're watching the ProView Sports Report. Back in a second.
See how it looks so.
followed him from the first day he signed with the team. You remember the day he poured in 63 points? The night he played a sold-out concert to 30,000 people. The day he gave his infamous speech. That's why you believe in heroes. That's why you remember and collect their memorabilia. All in Autographs, where you can meet some of the greats, collect some of the greats, and share your own legacy. Visit All In Autographs, where you can celebrate the great and have your own piece of history.
I might not be in the cage as much anymore, just like riding a bicycle. I can pick up the fight from where I left off. I'm not some slick-haired outsider posing with borrowed gloves. I grew up here. New Mexico is in my blood. I'm a New Mexican fighting for other New Mexicans. I'm Adam Oki. I'll be your champion in the courtroom.
All right, back here at the Sports Report, we're going to go back to looking at some of those scores because there was a few in there that we didn't get to that are going to be monumental when we're talking about the late season potential district winners. One of the ones that I really want to focus on here is we talked about Santa Fe Indian beating Robertson on the girls' side. On the boys' side, the Robertson Cardinals fall 68-54. Now, it is on the road to Santa Fe Indian, but in that 3A, Robertson was one of the favorites for it. Santa Fe Indian, though, taking that game over them and setting themselves up in a position where they could potentially take that district. And then on the bottom there, Steve.
That's the game. I mean, that's upsetting. I mean, I just did Del Norte the week
against
before.
Academy.
No, against Valley.
Okay.
And I tell you what, McIntosh just does a great job, and you look at that, a big win for Del Norte.
Yeah, and Hope Christian, they look like a really strong team, but they've had a tough go in district so far.
They sure have. They really, surprisingly, I thought they'd be stronger in district. And that's usually Coach Murphy's Huskies start playing well in district play.
Yeah, as our former director Josh Brown would say, the Fighting Jim Murphys are always a favorite for that district. And then another one just to note, Santa Rosa, who was a favorite there in the 2A, dropping to beating Pecos, and that is a district matchup that Pecos was in with a chance to take that district. Santa Rosa taking them off there, and then Cimarron winning one off of Maxwell, who's another favorite in that side. But so these are some of the scores from around the state. Now, let's take a look at the district standings for 5A boys and girls, because this is where things start getting fun, Steve. So obviously on the District 1, Volcano Vista winning in both sides. I mean, almost not surprising at this point. That's how it's been for, the last 5 years. Those two teams have been dominant. But if you look at the girls' 5A District 1, you see that huge logjam for second place with that win by Piedra Vista, with that win by the Rio Rancho Rams. We've got 3 teams sitting at 3-2, and Volcano Vista all alone in first place with that 4-1. That's kind of huge for them. And then we look over at the boys' 5A District 2. Three-way tie at the top there, but Sandia, of course, would have the actual tiebreakers for the win. But 4-1, 3 teams at 4-1, that's going to make for a fun second half of district.
Well, Friday night, go to Sandia, because La Cueva and Sandia are going to be playing for that first place spot right there.
And you can also catch that right here on Game Vision. District 3, Oregon Mountain, who've been strong, leading over Las Cruces on the boys' side, and then Mayfield on the girls' side. I mean, how about them? 5-0 in that district. I mean, Mayfield has been kind of down and up, but this team again under Coach.
I'm just say that doesn't surprise me. I'm surprised he have 3 losses. So I mean, he'd probably be saying the same thing. Yeah, we're having a bad year because we should be 20-0.
Well, looking over at District 4, how about your Clovis Wildcats there sitting in the 2 spot?
Oh, that's great. I thought you were going to, I thought you were Sebastian for a minute and saying that.
No. How about the Clovis? I mean, Clovis has been good for the last couple of years. Obviously,
how about Roswell, though? That Roswell was surprised because they were like in the top 10 a couple of weeks ago when this deal. Now all of a sudden they're 13-9 and 0-2 in that district.
Yeah, but I mean, it's tough being in a district with Clovis, with Hobbs. Obviously, the Hobbs Eagles sit atop that district. Nobody's surprised. They're number one in the polls. They picked up more votes for number one again this week. Their only loss of the season coming against the Sandia Matadors, who lead over there in District 2. And then this is the fun district here in District 5 for the girls' side, because Los Lunas was kind of the favorite coming in. They were pretty much undefeated going into that district play. They lost only a couple. Los Lunas lost to Albuquerque High School, so Albuquerque High School sits atop District 5 in both the girls' side and the boys' side. Boys beating Atrisco Heritage earlier this season as well. I mean, Albuquerque High School, Bulldogs love some basketball, right?
They do. I mean, look at that. I mean, how great is that? Jim Holzman's happy. I mean, he's a happy camper right now, so he's sleeping at night. So he's back in being number one in that district.
And we'll see. And so we're only halfway through the districts for all of these teams, so there's still tons of shakeups that could happen here. But these are the district standings for 5A. We'll talk about 4A next week. Now I think it's time to look at all the games that we've got coming up this week. It's going to be a busy, busy weekend for ProView Sports here, especially you see all of that purple. So Western New Mexico basketball, we've got our director, Ty Metzger, as well as Ed Nunez, all the way down in Silver City right now. They play Midwestern State. Once we get off of this, in fact, this show should be leading into that one. And then New Mexico Highlands, it's going to be a busy, busy weekend for Highlands.
Yeah, we got purple and purple, so it makes sense. I was like, I'm trying to. My eyes are. I'm getting old, but a lot of basketball. Covered the state very well, but big game in high school. The big La Cueva and Sandia, and then also girls at Farmington Rio Rancho girls going to be a great game. Yeah,
that one's going to be huge now, and for New Mexico Highlands, opening up the baseball season here, still the basketball season going on. That season is continuing to go. So they'll play against Fort Lewis on Saturday. But for the baseball, having wrestling all in one day, I mean, look at that day. You've got, 4 games plus a wrestling duel for New Mexico Highlands. I mean, that's going to be a fun day up in Las Vegas. If you're up there, head over to New Mexico Highland. Those games will be fantastic. You can run into Steve, talk to him a little bit as well. But as you mentioned, that Farmington Rio Rancho game with that logjam in the second spot, with everybody being 3-2 on in the district except for Volcano, whoever wins that one is going to be poised to try and beat Volcano in their second game this season and try and take a hold of that district. And then Belen St. Pius as well. Both of those games can be found on the NFHS network on Friday. The La Cueva Sandia game, massive, of course, right? La Cueva can take the lead. Sandia can take the lead. Sandia, preseason everybody thought they were kind of the favorite, but things have shaken up. La Cueva beat them in that first game. It went to double overtime, and La Cueva showed they had a team that has gotten better and better as the season's gone along. And, of course, don't forget, tonight as well, we'll have Piedra Vista taking on the Volcano Vista Hawks. So I think, I think we got to wrap this one up. It's been another fun week here on the ProView Sports Report. Steve, any final thoughts about the schedule and everything we've got this week?
Well, I tell you, this is an exciting time of basketball because of each game is so important. Not only for the selection and seeding show, which is going to be coming up here in a couple, 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, it's already here. So I always tell you
right around the corner.
No, it's here. It's already it's one of those to me. And then it's not March, but this time of year to me is March Madness. It starts here in the next 2 weeks because you'll see upsets and you'll think that teams are invincible and they'll get beat.
How about February Frenzy?
Hey, there you go. Why don't we put that up? I like that. February Frenzy. I like
February
that.
Frenzy.
I'll start talking about that. So maybe we can start a fad.
Maybe. Well, that's all the time we've got here on the ProView Sports Report. I want to thank our director today, Alden Iowani, Steve Davis, Aaron Rivera, saying thanks. Have a good one.